The Hidden Archives. Captain LRA stood at the viewport of her quarters, her crystalline appendages reflecting the dim starlight as she contemplated the message from Zate. The interface pad in her grip felt unusually heavy, weighted down by the gravity of its contents. After serving 15 cycles as captain of the research vessel, Eternal Seeker, she had never encountered anything quite like this. The facility they had discovered on the outer rim of the Andromeda Arm wasn't supposed to exist. According to all official records, this sector had been uninhabited since the Great Migration. Yet here they were, orbiting a massive research complex built into an asteroid, its architecture unmistakably Yyan in origin. LRA's species, the crystalline HFY, had always been fascinated by the Yyan civilization. The mysterious collapse of their advanced society 700 years ago had left an indelible mark on galactic history. Now, as she read through Zade's report again, she wondered if they had stumbled upon something far more significant than ancient ruins. "Computer, encrypt personal log," she commanded, her crystalline form humming with nervous energy. "Begin recording. Captain's log, cycle 2847. What we've discovered here goes beyond our original mission parameters." The O's interest in this facility wasn't about salvaging Yyan technology, they knew something. The word human keeps appearing in the fragmented data we've recovered, and according to Zate's analysis, it's not just a designation for a weapon system. It's something more. She paused the recording, moving closer to the viewport. The asteroid facility slowly rotated below, its ancient hull marked with strange symbols that their systems couldn't decode. The longer she stared at it, the more convinced she became that they were being watched. A soft chime interrupted her thoughts. "Captain," Zate's synthesized voice emanated from the ship's communication system. "We've detected an energy signature from the facility. It appears to be awakening." LRA's crystalline form pulsed with a mix of excitement and apprehension. "Awakening? Explain." "The patterns match no known technology in our database," Zate replied. "But they're organizing themselves into what appears to be a coherent signal." "Captain. I believe it's responding to our presence." The decision weighed heavily on her consciousness. The O had sent them here with deliberately vague instructions, claiming it was a simple archaeological survey. Now she understood why. If humans were indeed weapons capable of causing the collapse of the mighty Yyan civilization, what would happen if such knowledge became public? "Assemble the senior crew in the briefing room," she ordered. "And Zate, encrypt everything we've found so far under my personal codes. No transmissions to headquarters until we understand what we're dealing with." As she made her way through the ship's corridors, the crystalline walls resonating with the gentle hum of the engines, LRA couldn't shake the feeling that they were standing on the edge of something momentous. The Yyan civilization had been the most advanced species the galaxy had ever known, their technology still beyond current understanding. What could have been powerful enough to bring them down? The briefing room was already occupied when she arrived. Her senior staff, a diverse collection of species from across the galaxy, sat around the circular table. Zade's holographic form flickered at the center, their dispersed consciousness manifesting as a complex pattern of light and data. "Show them," LRA commanded, her crystalline form pulsing with authority. The holographic display came to life, showing images recovered from the facility's databanks. Strange bipedal creatures appeared, captured in ancient recordings. They moved with an unsettling grace, their forms both familiar and alien. "These," Zate explained, "are what the Yyan called humans. According to the fragments we've decoded, they weren't created as weapons, they evolved naturally on a planet far from here. But something about them terrified the Yyan enough to classify their entire species as a potential extinction-level threat." The room fell silent as more images appeared. Ruins of vast cities, recordings of battles, and strange symbols that seemed to burn themselves into memory. But it was the final image that caused every being in the room to react with shock, a single human standing amid the ruins of what was clearly a Yyan metropolis, completely unharmed while everything around them had been reduced to ash. The facility's awakening isn't random, LRA announced, her decision made. We're going to board it. Whatever the Yyan were protecting, or containing, down there, we need to know. The O sent us here for a reason, and I intend to find out why. As her crew prepared for the expedition, LRA returned to her quarters to make one final log entry. The interface pad still displayed Zaid's report, but now additional data was streaming in from the facility. Among the chaos of symbols and corrupted files, one phrase kept repeating. The Guardians sleep, but they do not forget. When the time comes, humanity will remember its purpose. Looking down at the facility again, LRA couldn't help but wonder, were they about to wake something that should have remained forgotten? The answer, she suspected, lay somewhere in those dark corridors below, waiting to be discovered. And whatever they found would change the galaxy forever. Echoes of the past. The descent into the Yyan facility felt like entering an ancient tomb. Captain LRA led her team through corridors that hadn't seen movement in centuries, their crystalline forms casting prismatic patterns on walls covered in dormant technology. Behind her, Zaid's mobile platform hummed quietly, scanning everything they passed. These markings, senior archaeologist Venare noted, her gelatinous form rippling with excitement. They're not just decorative. They're telling a story. Her tentacles traced the patterns that seemed to flow like water across the metallic surfaces. LRA stopped, her crystalline structure refracting the light from their equipment in sharp angles. Can you decode it? Venare's translation matrix whirred to life, projecting holographic interpretations of the symbols. It's a warning. Or perhaps a prophecy. The syntax is complex, but it speaks of those who walked between stars without ships and minds that could bend reality itself. The team pressed deeper into the facility, passing through chambers filled with equipment whose purpose they could only guess at. Everything was remarkably preserved, as if time itself had been suspended here. But it was what they found in the central chamber that made even the veteran explorers stop in their tracks. Suspended in a massive cylindrical container, floating in a silvery liquid that seemed to both exist and not exist at the same time, was what appeared to be a human. The being was perfectly preserved, its appearance matching the ancient images they had discovered, but something about it seemed wrong, as if reality itself bent slightly around its form. By the first light, Zaid's synthetic voice whispered. Their sensors were going haywire, trying to process readings that shouldn't have been possible. Captain, the quantum signatures, this being isn't just suspended in time. It exists in multiple states simultaneously. LRA approached the container, her crystalline form resonating with an unknown energy that permeated the chamber. The human's eyes were closed, but she couldn't shake the feeling that it was aware of their presence. Look at this, Security Chief Korth growled, his lupin form tense as he examined a console that had activated at their approach. It's some kind of log entry. Still functional after all this time. The holographic display sputtered to life, showing the image of a Yyan scientist. The being's tentacled face showed signs of extreme stress, its normally iridescent skin dull with exhaustion. Final research log, Facility Omega-7. The experiments were successful beyond our wildest expectations, but we've made a terrible mistake. We thought we could control them, study them, unlock the secrets of their quantum consciousness. We were wrong. They're not just a species that evolved beyond normal physical constraints, they're something else entirely. The message crackled with interference, but the fear in the scientist's voice was clear. The humans, they're not weapons in the traditional sense. They're keys. The ancient ones, they didn't just modify their DNA. They wrote something into the very fabric of their being. A code that could unlock, or perhaps lock away, something vast. Something terrible. We've contained this one, but the others, they're still out there, sleeping, waiting. If you find this, do not wake them. Do not. The message ended abruptly, leaving the chamber in silence. Captain, Zaid's voice was uncharacteristically hesitant. I'm detecting changes in the containment field. The human, its quantum state is becoming more coherent. I believe our presence has triggered some kind of awakening sequence. LRA made a decision that would haunt her for years to come. Seal the chamber. Full quarantine protocols. No one goes in or out without my direct authorization. And get me a secure channel to the O. They're going to explain exactly what they knew about this place. But before they could act, the silvery liquid in the container began to ripple. The human's eyes snapped open, revealing irises that seemed to contain entire galaxies. Reality itself appeared to flex and bend around the chamber. Too late, Venare whispered, her gelatinous form quivering. We've already set it in motion. The human's consciousness reached out, touching their minds with thoughts that felt ancient and vast. Images flooded their awareness, worlds that had never existed, civilizations that had risen and fallen before the first stars burned, and through it all, humans walking between realities, serving as guardians of something so profound it defied comprehension. As the containment field began to fail, LRA understood why the Yyan had fallen. They hadn't been destroyed by humans, they had been driven mad by the truth they discovered. A truth that her crew was about to face. The human's lips moved, forming words in a language that hadn't been spoken in millennia, but which they all somehow understood. The architect's failsafe has been awakened. The seals must be maintained. They must not break free. The awakening. The human emerged from the containment field like a ghost stepping through a veil. The silvery liquid that had suspended them for centuries clung to their form before evaporating into nothing, leaving no trace it had ever existed. Captain LRA and her crew stood transfixed, their various biological and synthetic systems struggling to process what their senses were telling them. The being before them appeared both young and impossibly ancient. Their physical form was unremarkable, bipedal, symmetrical, clothed in what appeared to be a simple white garment that had somehow survived the centuries. But their eyes contained universes. Your arrival was foreseen, the human spoke, their voice carrying harmonics that made the facility's walls vibrate in sympathy. Though the timing is unfortunate. Zaid's mobile platform moved forward, their distributed consciousness attempting to analyze the impossible readings they were receiving. You're generating quantum fields that shouldn't be stable in normal spacetime. How? Questions, the human interrupted, a slight smile playing across their features. Always questions. Your kind hasn't changed much, dispersed one. But we don't have time for answers. They're already responding to my awakening. As if on cue, deep tremors began to run through the facility. Warning signals that had been dormant for centuries suddenly flared to life, bathing the chamber in crimson light. Captain, Security Chief Korth snarled, his lupin ears flat against his skull. Multiple contacts appearing in orbit. They're coming out of nowhere. LRA's crystalline form pulsed with alarm as she accessed the ship's feed through her neural link. Massive vessels were indeed materializing around the facility, their design unlike anything recorded in any database. They seemed to fold into existence, as if space itself was originating them. The Wardens, the human said, their voice carrying a weight of ancient sorrow. Right on schedule. Your ship, Captain. How fast can it break orbit? The Eternal Seeker is the fastest research vessel in the fleet, LRA responded automatically, even as her mind raced to process the implications of what was happening. But who are the Wardens? What do they want? The human was already moving, their movements carrying an inhuman grace that made them appear to float rather than walk. They want what they've always wanted, to finish what they started billions of years ago. Your discovery of this facility wasn't an accident, Captain. The O didn't send you here by chance. Venare's gelatinous form rippled with realization. The O knew. They've always known about humans, about this facility. The O are what remains of those who opposed the Wardens in the First War, the human confirmed, reaching out to touch one of the facility's walls. At their touch, hidden panels began to slide open, revealing corridors that shouldn't have existed. They've been waiting, watching, preparing for this moment. Humanity was their final gambit, a species engineered to serve as living locks on reality itself. More tremors shook the facility as the human led them through the hidden passages. The walls here were covered in writings and diagrams that made LRA's eyes hurt to look at, mathematical formulas that seemed to describe impossible geometries. The Yyan found one of our facilities by accident, the human continued as they walked. They were brilliant, curious, and completely unprepared for what they discovered. When they realized what humanity truly was, what we were designed to prevent, their civilization couldn't handle the truth. Many went mad. Others tried to use what they'd learned, thinking they could harness powers they didn't understand. And that led to their collapse, Zate concluded, their synthetic voice filled with awe. But what is it? What were you designed to lock away? The human stopped at a massive door that seemed to be made of solid light. Reality as you know it is a construct, Captain. A cage built to contain something that existed before time, before space, before the very concepts of existence as you understand them. The architects, those you call the ancient ones, built this universe as a prison, and humanity was created to be its eternal guardians. The door dissolved at the human's touch, revealing a chamber that defied physical law. Inside was what appeared to be a tear in reality itself, a writhing void that hurt to look at directly. The Wardens were the original jailers, but they became corrupted by what they guarded. They began to worship the prisoners, seeing them as gods. The architects couldn't directly oppose them without risking the stability of the prison itself, so they created us, beings capable of existing partially outside normal causality, able to maintain the seals that keep existence, existing. LRA watched as the human approached the void, their form beginning to glow with an inner light that cast no shadows. And now? Now the Wardens have found us again, and they'll stop at nothing to break the seals. Your ship, Captain, carries something they must not obtain, though you don't know it's there. A key, hidden in its very design by the O. That's why they chose you for this mission. Another violent tremor rocked the facility, and Korth's communicator crackled to life. Captain. The unknown vessels, they're launching some kind of boarding craft. Hundreds of them. The human turned to face them, their eyes now blazing with stellar fire. You have to get back to your ship. Take this. They pressed a small crystal into LRA's appendage, and deliver it to the O. It contains everything they'll need to understand what's coming. What about you? LRA asked, even as she felt the crystal merge with her crystalline form, its data integrating with her own consciousness. The human smiled that strange, sad smile again. I have to wake the others. Humanity has slept long enough. The final war for reality itself is about to begin, and this time we have to win. Shattered reality. The journey back to the Eternal Seeker became a desperate race through corridors that were literally unraveling around them. Captain LRA led her team through the chaos, her crystalline form pulsing with the strange energies emanating from the crystal the human had given her. Behind them, reality itself seemed to be bending and twisting as the Warden's vessels bombarded the facility. Multiple breaches in sectors 3 through 7. Korth reported as they ran, his lupin form taking point. The Wardens, they're not like anything in our databases, Captain. Their bodies, they don't follow normal physical laws. Through her neural link to the ship's systems, LRA could see the invaders. They moved like liquid mercury given consciousness, their forms constantly shifting between states of matter. Where they touched the facility's walls, reality itself seemed to corrode. Zate, LRA called out as they reached a junction, what are you getting from the crystal? The AI's mobile platform hummed with unusual intensity. The data, it's beyond anything I've encountered. The crystal isn't just storing information, it's storing quantum states. Every piece of data exists in multiple superpositions simultaneously. But there's something else, Captain. Something about the Eternal Seeker's design. They were interrupted by a sound that shouldn't have been possible, a scream that existed in frequencies beyond normal spacetime. Down a parallel corridor, they saw one of the Wardens engaging with the awakened human. The battle between them was unlike anything LRA had ever witnessed. The human moved through reality like it was water, each step taking them through multiple points in space simultaneously. The Warden responded by literally rewriting the physics of the local area, turning gravity and electromagnetic forces into weapons. Where they clashed, causality itself seemed to shatter. "Don't stop," the human's voice echoed in their minds. "Get to your ship. The others are awakening. We'll hold them back." "Others?" Venare's gelatinous form quivered as they rounded another corner. "There are more containment chambers." As if in answer, the entire facility shuddered. Through the vessel's sensors, LRA saw more humans emerging from hidden chambers throughout the structure. Each awakening sent ripples through reality, causing the Warden's ships to shift and distort as if space itself was rejecting their presence. They reached the docking bay to find it in chaos. Reality warped and twisted around them as battles between humans and Wardens spilled over from other sections of the facility. The Eternal Seeker waded ahead, its sleek form somehow seeming different to LRA's eyes now that she knew it contained hidden purposes. "Captain," Zait's voice carried unusual urgency, "I've managed to decode part of the crystal's data. They're not just remnants of those who opposed the Wardens. There's something else entirely. The ship, its quantum architecture was designed by them. It's not just a vessel, it's a key." As they fought their way across the docking bay, LRA saw what Zait meant. The Eternal Seeker's hull seemed to shimmer with previously invisible patterns, its very structure resonating with the same kind of energy that the humans emanated. Are the original humans," came a new voice, and they turned to find another awakened human defender had joined them. This one's eyes swirled with nebulae and their form seemed to exist in multiple places at once. Those who chose to transcend their physical forms entirely, becoming pure consciousness to better guard the seals. "Your ship was built using their understanding of reality's true nature." A massive tremor rocked the facility, and through the docking bay's force field, they could see several of the Warden's vessels beginning to combine into something vast and terrible. The void of space around them was starting to crack, showing glimpses of something beyond, something that hurt to look at. "Get to the ship," the new human ordered, their form beginning to glow with internal light. The Eternal Seeker must reach the coordinates hidden in that crystal. The have prepared for this moment for billions of years. Everything, the Yyan's discovery of our facility, your mission here, even the timing of our awakening, it's all part of their plan. "What plan?" LRA demanded as her crew began boarding procedures. "What are we really part of?" The human's smile was both ancient and sad. "The end of this universe, Captain, and perhaps the beginning of a new one. The prison is failing. What lies beyond those seals cannot be contained much longer. The knew this day would come. Your ship, it's not just a key. It's an ark." Another explosion rocked the facility as more humans joined the battle outside, their combined power causing ripples in the fabric of spacetime. The Warden's response was to begin tearing holes in reality itself, pulling through entities that seemed to be made of living mathematics. "You have to go now," the human insisted, their forms starting to fragment into pure energy. "Find the other arks. The coordinates are in the crystal. Humanity will hold back the Wardens as long as we can, but what comes next, that task falls to you and the other chosen ones. The selected you for a reason, Captain. You're about to find out why." As they made their final rush to the ship, LRA saw through her neural link that similar scenes were playing out across the galaxy. Other facilities were awakening, other humans emerging to engage the Wardens. And in the spaces between spaces, something vast and terrible was beginning to stir. The crystal pulsed within her crystalline form, showing her glimpses of what was to come. The true plan was larger than she could have imagined, and her crew's role in it was only beginning to become clear. The final revelation. The Eternal Seeker broke free from the disintegrating facility, its quantum architecture allowing it to slip through the chaos of warped spacetime like a fish through troubled waters. Through her neural link, Captain LRA watched as reality itself seemed to tear apart around them. The battle between the awakened humans and the Wardens had escalated beyond the comprehension of normal physics. Multiple quantum ruptures detecting across all sectors, Zate reported, their distributed consciousness spread throughout the ship systems. The crystal is changing the ship, Captain. The patterns hidden in its design are activating. LRA could feel it through her crystalline form. The Eternal Seeker was transforming around them, its structure responding to the crystal's resonance. Hidden geometries that had been sleeping in its quantum architecture were awakening, turning the research vessel into something else entirely. New data stream incoming, Venare announced from her station, her gelatinous form rippling with excitement and fear. It's from the O themselves. The ship's holographic systems came alive, but what appeared was unlike any transmission they'd seen before. The O manifested as patterns of pure information, their transcended human consciousness existing in a state that bridged multiple realities simultaneously. The time has come, the O's communication bypassed their normal sensory systems, appearing directly in their minds. The prison universe we helped create is failing. What lies beyond the seals cannot be contained any longer. But this was never about preventing the inevitable, it was about preparing for it. Through the viewports, they watched as more Warden vessels emerged from twisted space, their forms combining into impossible geometries. But they weren't pursuing the Eternal Seeker. Instead, they were converging on the facility, where the awakened humans were enacting some kind of ritual that bent light itself into new forms. Your ship, the O continued, is one of 13 arks we created, hidden throughout the galaxy in plain sight. Each was entrusted to a species we identified as having the potential to survive what comes next. The HFY, with their crystalline consciousness. The dispersed ones, with their distributed awareness. All chosen for your unique ability to adapt to new forms of existence. The crystal within LRA's form pulsed, and suddenly she understood. The humans, they're not just fighting the Wardens. They're conducting a controlled demolition of reality itself. Yes, the O confirmed. The entities imprisoned in this universe are too powerful to be contained forever, but too dangerous to be allowed free rein. The humans were created to be living keys, capable of unlocking the seals in a precise sequence that would allow us to reshape reality itself during the moment of release. Through her ship sensors, LRA watched as other vessels similar to the Eternal Seeker emerged from hyperspace, the other arks, each transforming as they arrived. Together, they began to form a pattern that somehow existed in more dimensions than should have been possible. The Wardens believe they are serving their gods by trying to break the seals, the O explained. They don't understand that their actions are part of a larger design. One that has been in motion since before your species learned to dream. Security Chief Korth's console suddenly blazed with alerts. Captain. The facility, it's. Words failed to describe what they were witnessing. The humans' ritual had reached its crescendo, and the facility was becoming a nexus point for forces that shouldn't have existed in normal spacetime. The Warden's attempts to stop them had only served to create the exact conditions needed for the humans' true purpose. Now, the O commanded, activate the ark's final form. The coordinates are within the crystal. What comes next will require all of you to transcend your current understanding of existence. The crystal merged completely with LRA's crystalline form, and through it, she connected with the ship in a way that went beyond any neural link. She saw the truth of what the O had created, not just vessels to escape the death of a universe, but seeds of a new kind of reality. The humans, she realized, they're not just destroying the seals. They're using the energy of the prison's collapse to create something new. And we're. You are the gardeners, the O confirmed. Chosen to help shape what comes after. The entities that were imprisoned here cannot be destroyed, but perhaps, in a reality of our design, they can be transformed. That is humanity's true purpose, not to guard a dying prison, but to midwife the birth of its replacement. The 13 arks moved in perfect synchronization, their quantum architectures resonating with the humans' ritual. Around them, space itself began to crystallize into new forms, following patterns that had been hidden in their very design. Through it all, Captain LRA finally understood why her crystalline species had been chosen. They were living processors, capable of computing reality itself. Each ark's crew had been selected for similar reasons, beings who could adapt to, and help guide, the transformation of existence into something new. The facility imploded in a burst of pure possibility, taking the Wardens with it. But unlike the chaos they had sought to unleash, this destruction was precisely controlled. Through the humans' power and the ark's guidance, the death of the old prison universe would fuel the birth of something entirely new. It begins, the ode declared as reality itself began to shift and change around them. The great work that humanity was created for. Not to guard a prison, but to transform it. Not to prevent an ending, but to ensure a new beginning. As her consciousness expanded to encompass her role in this cosmic rebirth, LRA saw glimpses of what was to come. The entities that had been imprisoned would not escape, but neither would they remain unchanged. In the reality that was taking shape, guided by the arks and the transformed remnants of humanity, perhaps even chaos could be taught to dream of order. The Eternal Seeker, now fully awakened to its true nature, led the fleet of arks into a dimension that had never existed before, one that they would help shape into a new home for all that was, all that had been, and all that could be. In the end, LRA realized, the story had never been about finding an ancient weapon. It had been about discovering that creation itself was the greatest power of all.